Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to Ken's Cuts. Thanks for stopping by. On this edition, we're going to be doing something quite different than what you guys are used to seeing. Um, I'll explain that in a minute. We've had a pretty good sales week. I had a new customer approach me on Wednesday via my marketplace ad, and he was asking for a phone number so that his father, who is not on Facebook, could contact me. He was looking for smoking wood. So in the messaging back and forth, I asked this gentleman for his father's name and phone number, and he said, "Oh, my dad is Jim Sr., and he's going to be calling you." And I no sooner read the message and the phone was ringing. He lives local. He's in Tuckerton, and he's a contractor. He was working at Rutgers. So he passes through my town on the daily back and forth to work. So we spoke on the phone briefly, and he explained that he has a newer offset that he's been using for pulled pork and ribs and things like that. And he's tired of buying bags of what he calls garbage wood that are full of bark and whatnot from the big box stores. So he asked his son to find somebody that had, decent smoking wood. So that's what brought them to me. Anyway, Thursday after work, he came by for 4 bundles. 3 of apple, 1 of cherry. He wanted to grab the apple because it's not something that people normally have. And he's got a beautiful offset smoker. He had sent me a couple of pictures, so I can share those here in a few minutes. But while we were in conversation and I was sending him some photos of my bundles, I mentioned my fire starters. And those fire starters have gone a long way since 2023 when I started making them. And I must give a couple shout outs to Dick Westbrook at Old Guy Firewood. He's the one that got me thinking about these. He actually makes them with paraffin wax and lamp oil. And he said that they burn really hot, so that got my wheels turning. And I kind of thought about it a little bit, and then I just kind of dismissed it. And then Heath and Rachel over at Hardworking Man, they did a video of Rachel working in their kitchen, making a soy-based version that is food safe that Heath actually uses in his smokers. And I said, well, that's something that I should probably consider. So I make a food-grade soy-based fire starter that my barbecue and smoking customers use. And last year in 2023, I made a couple batches of them, about 500 in total. And when Jim was here on Thursday, he said, you know what? I had mentioned the fire starters and that I would give him a couple samples. And he said, well, I'll take the 3 samples and I'll also buy 2 dozen from you. So I said, okay, great. I go to the box and I literally had 4 dozen left. So he took 2 of the last 4 that I had. And it's a blustery, cold, wet Sunday here in central New Jersey. So forgive me, the dog's quiet, crying in the background. Anyway, I'm going to get set up for that. And we're going to make some fire starters here. So stick around. Okay, guys, welcome back. So we're just getting set up. Just wanted to show you what I got going on here. This is a sleeve of 250 souffle cups. They're wax coated. They hold 2 ounces a piece. So what I do is load the wood chips into these, and I pack them full just with my fingers, and then I set them out on the trays. I've got enough soy wax here. These are the bags that I use. They're 5-pounders that I get on Amazon. It's a soy-based Freedom wax that a lot of people use for making homemade candles and whatnot. But because it's soy-based, it's good for food use. So on the stove, I've got my first 40 ounces of pellets melting, and this is the partial bag that I have. And then I've got 10 pounds here behind me. So that's 160 ounces plus what I have. So I may be able to get about 200 made today. I've got enough sleeves for 250, but not enough wax. But it'll at least get me started. And then I want to give a shout out to Tony over at TC's Outdoors on his recent fire starter video. He had come up with this pancake batter dispenser, which works really cool. What I normally use is a metal tablespoon that was actually 2 tablespoons or 30 milliliters. Everything's metric these days, but this is stainless steel, and this is what I used to use, and I would ladle out of this, but it makes a big mess. So I ordered up this pancake batter dispenser, and I'm going to give that a go today. So again, Tony, thanks for the recommendation. I'm going to give that a whirl. So we have the first 40 ounces of pellets melting on the stove, and when those are ready, as that's melting down, I'm going to start filling up some cups, and then we'll get to actually pouring them. So what I did in the winter of 2022 was collect a lot of shavings that I used, wood chips, that was from some white oak that I had cut. And this has all been dried. I cured all these chips in the oven for 2.5 hours at like 220 just to dry them out. And then I put them in these 5-gallon Home Depot buckets with lids just to keep the moisture out of them. So that's what I'm going to be using. And in gathering up the wood chips after doing some cutting, there was some bark pieces. And the bark pieces I just break up as I fill the cups and I add them in. These fire starters burn really hot. And I've done some trials, and I've told my customers they're going to get a good 15 minutes of burn out of these because it's white oak and they're packed solid. And the soy base, wax is great for getting, wood splits started in an offset smoker, or I have guys that actually will set the cups in the firebox and set their chimney full of charcoal over top of the fire starter to get the charcoal lit. And then as they dump the charcoal in, they just pour the charcoal around the fire starter, and that, continues to burn for a good 15, 18 minutes. So that's what we got going on here. So I'm going to start filling a few of these. And I just take the cups, take a scoop, right out of the bucket, pack them full with my thumb, and just set them out on the tray. I lined up some cookie sheets here just to kind of keep the mess to a minimum. And, they fill pretty quickly. Like I said, if there's pieces and chunks that I find, I just, slide them into the cup and pack the chips around them. These chips pack really tight. Some of the other guys use pine bedding, cedar bedding, and I just feel that these cups pack a little bit tighter because it's such a finer chip that you can get them packed full. I leave a little bit of a well in the center to allow the wax to go down through. And when it's time to pour the wax, I've got it figured that about 1 ounce of wax, added into these cups makes them just about solid. And what I do is watch for the wax to perk down through to the bottoms of the cups. And then once they're full, I have to let them sit on the cookie sheets, to harden. Decided to do this today. I'm caught up in the wood yard. I don't have any other work going on out there. And actually delivered a cord of wood yesterday to a new customer that was looking for mixed hardwood for his wood stove and for his fire pit outside. He has grandchildren and found me again on Marketplace and inquired and asked for delivery. So I was able to get that loaded up and get that out yesterday. And then yesterday afternoon and overnight we had another inch of rain. Mother Nature just won't give up. So I've got a dozen made already. Goes pretty quick. And the wax is melting in the pot. I've got the first 40 ounces just about liquid over there. So I need to get caught up here. I guess what I'll do is fill these cups a tray at a time so that I can keep the wax, keep that going. That wax, the soy wax melts at 160 degrees. And what I tell people when they use these fire starters is to, set them in their fire pit or their offset smoker or whatever they're using, and light the paper rim on 2 spots, and the flame actually works its way around the cup, and the wax starts to melt and puddle in the center, and then the flame follows right behind it. I have some videos on my phone. I'll probably share one of those in this video just to show them with like a little time lapse. But I've done tests with my fire pit outside and lit off some of my splits and some of my scraps in the fire pit, and literally in like 5 minutes the wood is fully engulfed in flames. I've actually had flames shooting up almost like a Roman candle through the wood splits. I stack my splits in a little square, kind of like you would stack Lincoln logs. That's how I start my fires, and I use these cups, and I used to use the bundles of the fat wood that they sell in like Walmart and stuff. But those are a nuisance because you've got to hold the flame or a torch on the fat wood long enough to get that to start to burn. And this is much, much simpler. You light the paper cup 2 spots, go grab a cold beverage of your choice, and sit back and watch. And the rest just kind of happens on its own. So I should have just enough chips in this bucket to do what I need to do. I've got a garbage pail outside with more in it. I'll have to bring those in and cure them. Like I said, I oven cure for like 2.5 hours just to dry them out, and then I backfill into these 5-gallon Home Depot buckets to keep the moisture out of them. I'm due to dry off another set. It's my homeowner version of using a kiln to dry the material. I guess I should have started with a smaller tray first. Alright guys, I'm going to finish off this tray, and I'll bring you back when the tray's full, and we'll get the wax set up. We'll start doing the first pour.
Okay guys, so the first tray is set up. We've got 54 starters here, 6 rows, 9 across, and the first pot of wax is melted and ready to go. We've got 20 ounces in the dispenser, and I'm going to set you up on the tripod and we're going to start filling. So stick around. All right guys, so here goes the inaugural pour with the pancake dispenser. What I used to do with the stainless steel measuring spoon was do the first 3 or so, let the wax seep down. So you don't want to pour it too fast because then it goes all over the cup and makes a big mess. But this soy wax is so hot, it's actually bubbling up. So I'm going to go around and do the first 6 and let it perk down. And then I can see from the sides that the wax is like 2/3 of the way down the cup. And then I just come back and do a second little pour over the top. The trick is you want to stick to a small amount and keep going back until they're solid, and then move on to the next 6, because once the wax starts to harden, it takes a little bit more effort to get the wax through to the very bottom of the cup. and I like to have my cups completely solid with wax. I found that you get a better burn when they're fully solid. These first 6 are just about ready. They're looking really good. I'm going to start with the next 3 on this corner. I gotta hand this one to Tony over at TC's Outdoors. This is much simpler than using a stainless steel ladle to fill these cups. You just need to keep a firm grip on the trigger and then keep an eye on the cups as the wax gets down through. You can see the darkness in the side of the cup so that you know that the wax is clear through to the bottom. So that's the first. That's the first dozen. And this dispenser holds 600 milliliters, which is just over 20 ounces. And I've still got plenty of wax to go. So we'll see how far we get with this first dispenser worth, and I'll get a better feel. I had it in my head that it was taking me about an ounce of wax to backfill the chips to get a fully solid cup. So we'll see how we do with this new concept, this new technique. But so far, Tony, I'm really liking it. Kudos to you, bud. I've had a little bit dribble over here onto the tin foil. Once these solidify, I'll move them off. I usually move them out to the garage to let them harden because it does take a little while. Just rounding out the first 2 dozen, and I've got about an ounce or so left in the bottom of the cup, so we're gonna end up with about 25 out of this first dispenser full, which is quite all right with me. All right, pour this in here. Get that second dispenser going. All right. There's the second pot just going in. I had the paraffin pellets top off this pot. Leave this on the burner on low just to warm through, and we'll go back to the second dispenser full.
chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Okay, guys, we're all finished up here. Got 4 trays worth. The first 54. The second tray was 40. Third tray was 45. A couple of these I overfilled in the back. You can see they're quite full of wax. I overfilled them. It happens once in a while. That's the last 45. And the final tray was a smaller tray. There's 28 for a total of 167. Took a little longer than I thought, but it's definitely worth it. The barbecue guys are going to love these. So that's about all we have for today. All right, guys, thanks a lot for sticking with me to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of content. And if you do, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. And until next Sunday, have a good week. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.